I'm Jim Dawson. Welcome to today's episode of Navigate. We have a very special guest with us today from Brazil, Rodrigo Miliago, and he is going to provide us with some insight on doing business in Brazil. Rodrigo, why don't you share us a little bit about your story, about your company, and then we'll get into some details of how you can help our listeners navigate the waters of Brazil.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodrigo Milioni. I'm a tax and corporate attorney in Brazil, and we work as a law firm in Brazil under the legislation applicable for the law bar here in Brazil. And I deal with international investments, international taxation companies, internationalization of companies. And here in Brazil, we're assisting foreign and national companies on their day-to-day legal issues with like contracts or taxation, corporate incorporation and closure of companies in Brazil, and all of the and litigation. We have always some points of litigation, judicial or administrative litigation, and we assist the companies to be compliant with the law in Brazil, the ones who comes here and the ones who stays here or are here. We help them to stay compliant to the legislation in Brazil and provide them more tools to attend and enhance their performance on taxes or corporate structures, and to be like okay with the all the legal security we have here. So we work as lawyers, basically, and with James, and we have some tasks going on the taxation and international taxes. So I think we're going to deal here and today with some questions that are very common to have in Brazil about the companies and new companies who comes here, wants to set business in Brazil, and they face a lot of difficulties, starting from the language, because the English and Portuguese are not the same. It's not as like it's not like Spanish and Portuguese, and then we have all to translate all the culture or the legal culture in Brazil to the American or Europe standards, so you can the professionals there can understand what's going on. So that's a little bit what we do on our daily basis.
Perfect. So let's get into it. So what are the first things any foreigner, whether they be American or anywhere else in the world, what should they be thinking about in considering setting up operations in Brazil? What should they be thinking about?
Well, the first thing we advise companies to do here, or entrepreneurs to do here is check if the service or the products, how they are going to perform in Brazil. If the service, for example, they can be provided in Brazil, if they need any special authorization, how's the market, or if the culture in Brazil is used to buy this kind of service. And regarding the products, we always advise them to check about the prices and the custom fees they have to pay to import their product here, or to set better their strategy if they want to produce here, if they want to make it in Brazil through another third-party company, or if they want to import, so they can calculate their prices and see if they're competitive in the market. This before entering to Brazil, before discussing any other corporate or legal matter, they have to check if it's feasible to be here.
Can you share with us maybe a story where someone you saw where someone did not take the steps that you just mentioned?
Okay, we have this company here was working with diesel engines, but they did the injection control. Like it's a it's a tool, is a part of the engine who controls how much of the diesel is going to be injected in the engine. And they sold these parts and the spare parts and the device completed, and they didn't know the final price or the because in Brazil we have a lot of particularities when you import via any port or any state, and you're going to sell to another state, and they didn't know all these rules, and they wasn't sure about the price they had to charge from the client in one or another situation. So, and they were here like for 2 years and struggling with that. And then when we were hired to do something like this, to and advise them, we advised them to give a step back. So let's recalculate it all. Let's know what the story of our product in Brazil, how it works, how we're going to sell them to different parts in Brazil, and what are the particularities we have in the tax, the VAT tax, send it over to the same state or to another state. What taxes do you have to pay? What taxes you have to pay in advance from all the trade chain? So we had to prepare redesign their sales plan again, so they can start to sell with a good margin, with knowing what they're doing, and they all the commercials of the company know exactly until which point they needed to negotiate with the client to get a good price or to grant some good margin for the company. And we have this. This was one emblematic case that we had, because the company was already working here, and we had to give them a step back. Like now, right now you are in a startup. You never did business in Brazil, and you're going to start all over again. And that's what they did. And now they're performing good in Brazil. They are now making a joint venture with another diesel company, and they're expanding business here. It was a very good case of success.
Excellent. So one of the things that we know is, as in the U.S. and throughout the rest of the world, the compliance and reporting requirements can be a nightmare for someone coming into a country. What do you see as the major compliance and reporting requirements that foreign-owned companies need to be aware of?
Well, before they enter, I think that they have to do some compliance tasks about the registry of their products, of the trademark in Brazil, and obtain the basic registries to importation, which is called Radar. It's like we say radar, you can say radar, but it's like a permit to import. But a lot of companies come to Brazil and want to import their merchandise, their goods to resell here, and they don't have this permit. So they incorporate the company, they don't have it, and they also have to have all the taxpayer IDs. But but doing to the compliance and the reporting requirements, I think they have to hire a good accountant so they can elaborate to a good balance sheet that is understandable to the US standards, because there are some accounting plans we have here in our accounting that we have to customize to make it understandable to another accountant in the US for them to know. And it's almost it's accounting is the same, but it's almost cultural. So some here we split some accounts and do some things that they are not used to have this in Europe or US, and then we have to uh, get it more close to this standard, the US standard, so we can understand each other. But regarding the compliance, I think the registries comes first, and you have to have all the permits and registries you need before you get the company going here in Brazil. And after that, prepare a good balance sheet so you can understand what's going on here and how's the results are going, and how's the accounting is being booked here.
Well, you mentioned, just real quickly, you mentioned registries before you start business. How long does that take?
Well, it can take like from 1 month to 90 days, depends on the registry. The radar for imports is a little bit more complicated because the Brazilian IRS needs you to prove your financial capacity. So you have to upgrade your capital, the cash of the company in our articles of incorporation, and show them that we have this like a I don't know. I think it's $100,000 in our account, in the account of the company, and we have to show them that we have this financial capacity to import, so we can get one permit without any limitation. Because it's not is a very it's very common the company come here and they can issue this registry, but it's limited to like $10,000 to semester, and once you want to have your company here, you're going to make the first shipment of like I don't know, $500,000. So you have to have this capacity to pay for the taxes and to pay for the your provider, and the Brazilian IRS has to know this to has to see this proven in your bank account, so they can allow you to import without any limitation. I think this is the most critical, because the other ones in 30 days we can take it, but this one is a little bit complicated, but it's feasible.
Yeah, so it's just not having a good business plan. It's really spending some time up front to understand the registration process, to understand the tax system, et cetera, so that they can properly plan on how to enter the country.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's understand is the main thing is to simulate your operation. So when you're going to sell products or provide services, the most important thing is to set a business plan and and check how it's going to work here. How am I going to charge the client? How I'm going to receive this money? What are my costs? And we start to to create like a scenario for 1 year, so you can foresee how uh, how the things are going to be in a reasonable way, so you can have a good overview of your operation, and then you can take the decision to come or not, because some people they think in only short terms, and Brazil is not a country for short term investments. You can find some spot business that you can do this, but if you want to set up a business here and keep a company going, it's a large term forecast that you have to have here, and you have to be aware that you're going to invest a little bit money before you start to take some profit from this operation.
You also mentioned going into the country. It's not just registration, it's also the vehicle by which you go in. So the different type of entities. Do you mind sharing some insight into the various types of entities that you commonly see foreign-owned businesses use in coming into Brazil?
Yeah, here we have two main corporate entities that we can use, like the LLC, the limited liability company. Here we call Sociedade Limitada. This is limited responsibility, and the other one is a stock corporation that here we call SCR, like anonymous entity, because the main difference is, one is you can be you can set that the LLC, you can start it with you can be alone. Like you're an individual who wants to start a business here, you have to have the proper visa, the proper representation, then you can start a business here, and or you can have more partners, even being other corporation or resident or non-resident. It works the same. So one thing that's important when you're setting up this limited liability company is to the non-resident investor, being the company or an individual, they're going to need to be represented by a legal representative in Brazil, which is a resident person who lives here, because this is to fulfill the legal requirements when you need to answer like any judicial intimation, or you have litigations, or you have to present it yourself or be presented uh, in the IRS, for example, or the customs agency, that you have to have this legal representative here. And this LLC company has to count with a local administrator, which is it can be the same person, but the activity is different. This is the legal representative for the national company, and the legal representative, for the foreigner partner is for the non-resident entity. So there are two roles going on in simultaneously, and then you have to, it needs to be a tax resident and a resident person in Brazil, so you can fulfill the legal requirements. Otherwise, you have to put like a large sum of capital, so you can have this your working visa or your permanent visa in Brazil, which is about like a $200,000, a little bit more than that. Then you can issue a resident visa, so you can be with no representation from any other resident in Brazil. And the same works for the stock corporation, with the difference that the partners are not going to be these entities is going to be shareholders, that they are not named in any document besides the book of shares you create for the company. So this is the most common. But the stock corporation, when you have to start it, you have to make a previous cash deposit on about 10% of the capital you want to invest. So you have to open previously an account, put the money there, and then the board, the trade board will authorize you to incorporate your company here. So when we advise people who are coming to Brazil, we advise them to create an LLC, because it's way more simpler, and then you can convert it to a stock company. So you may upgrading to where you want to be, or where what the structure you want to have.
So would it be fair to say that you see a lot of limitadas, LLCs being set up in Brazil by foreign-owned entities?
Yeah, no, I think it's the I don't think, but almost all companies that we start here are LLCs. Now, we had one case that the foreign, it was a state-owned company who wanted to start a stock company here, and then we had to make this for them. But everybody wants to make the set business in Brazil. They start with an LLC. I think it's the way, the easier way to get in Brazil. It's simpler. You don't have to open an account. You have the struggle is a lot less struggle to incorporate a company than you make a stock company here. So we advise always the companies to start with an LLC, and then we are going to see where it goes, because sometimes they are with the mindset of the rules applicable for the stock corporations. But we can do the same for the LLCs here. We can have like an administrative council in an LLC, fiscal council, or a board of director here, just like the other model, the stock corporation. So we can have a kind of stock corporation using a LLC. So it's more, and it's easier to deal with the partners and the conflicts, and set shareholder agreements. It's easier to go to serve in the LLC than the stock corporation.
I know that a lot of foreign-owned companies going into Brazil are always intimidated by the overall taxation system. Do you mind giving us a brief overview of the income tax system, the VAT system, and any other taxes that they need to be aware of in going into Brazil?
No problem. Brazil is, it's important to say that Brazil now is going under a tax reform. I think by the end of the year or next year, we're going to have a change in our constitution, which is different from the U.S. Constitution, because the Constitution from the U.S. is simpler, and ours was made to bear a lot of institutes there. In one of them is the basic rules of taxation. So they're going to change this because they are going to simplify the tax schemes in Brazil and the taxes. Now we have like a 7 taxes. We are trying to reduce it to 3 taxes, so people can understand better our tax systems here. But in Brazil we have basically the taxes over the profit and over the revenue. Doing the profits, like the income tax and some social contributions that are going together to the income tax, because they want to make this the social contribution has a particularity that they has a destination uh, uh, defined by the government, and that the income tax, no, the income tax go directly for the public budget, and they apply whatever they want according to the policy of the state. So we have these 2 taxes to tax the income, and then we have more 5 taxes to tax the revenue. And now we have to divide in services and products, like the VATs, as we are going to say, like this, for the trade or industry. We have some 2 social contributions and 2 VATs to over it. One is state, another one VAT is state, another is federal, and then we have 2 social contributions that it's to like to finance or the the 401k, like this. It would be the 401k, the public retirement plans. So and all of these taxes will be charged on your invoice, and they will be charged on your revenue. So when we are calculating the price of the company, like we said a little bit ago, you have to consider those taxes, because when you set the price of the good or one product you have to sell, you have to consider those prices those taxes, and where in the state, which state of Brazil do you want to sell to. So if you sell into the South region, the state VAT changes, or if you sell into Northeast, the state VAT changes. It's a little bit less, and then we have some particularities that only in the looking through the situation in a specific case you can set all the rules, and you can price the good accordingly. It's quite complicated when you were talking like this, but when you after one like 20 years working with that, you understand a little bit, and then you start and you see that it's not simple, but but it is understandable.
Very important that foreign-owned companies coming into Brazil understand the income taxes and the VAT and any of those other taxes. It's very, very important that you understand that up front, so they can include that in the calculus of the cost of doing business in Brazil.
I think it's the heart of any operation. It's the main thing you have to discuss with your accountant and your lawyer in Brazil to set your business here. Once you have to go through this taxation, you have to go through these calculations, you have to make those exercises so you can know what's going on. Otherwise, you're not going to be sure of what your lawyer said to you, or what your accounting is doing. Then you're going to be lost, and sometimes people lose their trust on their services provider in Brazil, not because they're doing wrong, but because they don't understand what's going on. So this is crucial for any operation in this. You have to know this. You have to talk to your lawyer. You have to talk to your accountant, and you have to know better. Like in general, even if it's in general lines, but you have to know what's going on.
Well, we know with any cross-border transactions, a critical element in any planning is tax treaties. What does Brazil's tax treaty network look like?
Well, Brazil has tax treaties with a lot of countries, mainly in Europe, not a lot, almost with all South America, uh, excluding like Colombia doesn't have any, but and we don't have a tax treaty with the U.S., but we had reciprocity treatment on the income tax that allowed the companies to offset the income tax, the federal income tax, from one operation to another. The USA, I think in 2022, a little bit earlier, they changed the rule, and they sued a ruling named TD 9959, uh, that was treating about the possibility of compensation taxes in the US and Brazil. But they changed the rules and they changed the interpretation in a way that the Brazilian companies who send the money or send profit or send dividends to the US, and they or send anything that has income tax withheld at source, they cannot offset it anymore in the US. But the opposite doesn't occur because our IRS didn't issue any ruling forbidding companies who has income tax withheld in the US to offset from the tax due in Brazil. So we keep doing this. And when I have dividends abroad or interest abroad, and they withhold any income tax, I can offset here in Brazil. But when I send those those dividends or interest or royalties, whatever, to the US, and I have to retain this 15% of tax here, I cannot offset them. And it was bad for the business. And I think it's a gap that Brazil and the US had to work on, because it's not good for the business, because a lot of international companies who wanted to set business here will be facing, due to this modification, a double taxation that like a couple years ago wasn't necessary, because we had the reciprocity systems going on and working well. So we have to see what's going to be in the next chapters of this story, because I think the governments have to talk to solve this. So nowadays, if you have a tax retained in Brazil, you cannot offset in the US. But if you have tax retained in the US, you can offset in Brazil. So that is that is how our treaty system is going on right now.
So if you would please, let's talk a little bit about the withholding taxes for both in general for countries in which Brazil has a tax treaty, and then in particular, what does that mean for a U.S. company since there is no treaty in place?
Well, I can give you the clear example from Spain. When we do a lot of business with the Spanish companies here, because since they are like the second bigger investor in Brazil. They have Spain has a lot of capital, a lot of companies investing in Brazil, and in international purposes, a very good partner, business partner. I think U.S. comes first, but since Spain has this tax treaty, we can all the taxes offset here, or all the income tax we retain here, they can use there, and vice versa. Uh, when you have some employee, let's say an expatriate who works here, and they have to withhold any tax in Brazil, he can offset from this Spanish income tax. As of the same when we have an expatriate, like a director or a manager, who has a split payroll, and he charges the part of his salary in Spain and another in Brazil. He can offset the taxes withheld in Spain. They can offset. They can compensate here. We have this the same situation with people from Belgium, from Austria, from UK, or even Portugal, and but in the US right now, I don't think we can use this anymore. When you're talking to retain taxes in Brazil for a person who is working actually in the US. But I think for individuals, they sometimes they can apply this. We had a case with that we send every year to an accounting who work with us in Florida. We send them the reports, and I think they can offset the taxes for individuals, but for companies, it's not allowed. And then when it's quite struggling for us because it's not very stimulating for the American companies to do business here. So we have to create another mechanism like incorporating a company in another part of the world in the middle of the way, like Mexico or Panama or even Spain or Netherlands, so we can send the profit there, and then this holding will treat the profit and send back to the company with no taxes. So it's kind of tax planning we can apply for those companies to try to mitigate the effects of this misunderstanding about the reciprocity system on legal entities, on corporate entities. So we can prepare this tax planning so the company can not be taxed, double taxed, let's say, because it's the true double taxed on their income taxes from the profit taken in Brazil and taken to the US. So we make an intermediary company which Brazil has a double taxation treaty and it's not going to be taxed, and then we send back to the US. It's one way to mitigate these effects.
Well, you mentioned 2024 may be the year in which there is some significant Brazilian changes to their tax legislation. Are there any other potential changes to Brazilian law that would impact a company, environmental, anything of that nature?
Well, it's going to be all the looks are headed to do this tax reform that's going on right now. And one of those taxes that's going to be created is the IS. It's a selective tax which has this environmental footprint, those carbon footprint. They're saying that products that may be more harmful to the environment will be more taxed than the other ones who would has a less impact. So I think the companies should know this, and because we're going to have we're still having a 10-year transition. They're foreseeing a 10-year transition for these taxes take over 100% on the tax system. But when we look to this, I think you have to be aware here at the VAT and income tax, because the VAT is going to grow up a little bit, but we have in the other hand we have to be aware that we have a compensation system that you can take the credit like the VAT. You can take the credit from the previous operation and you can offset from your operation, so you tax only the added value, which was not fully allowed here. We have this with limitations with the system we have today. And we have a recent work that for some companies that we made the activity to find for them tax credits they didn't use, because the tax legislation keeps on changing and the understandings and the rulings about what you can offset and what you cannot offset keeps changing. So we studied this on the detail, and we looked to this and looked to the company and said, look, you have some costs, you had some services you could offset from your operation, you didn't do this. So based on the new rulings, you are eligible to do that. So let's get more credits for you so you can lower your tax burden, and then we teach how the company to do this for the next month. So you can do this for the last 5 years, because it's the time we have, the time lapse we have, not to lose this right. So and then we'll teach the company to do this for the future operation, so they can adjust more or get more uh, effective tax structure here. So if I have to advise some company to do, it would be that: review your tax credits, check if you have any credit that you didn't took in the past, and get it, because you're going to lower your tax burden. Like if you get 1%, it's good, because 1% of 10 million is a lot. So you have to take what you have to take, because the government, we think the government has enough, and you don't need to let the government keep what is not for them. So that's how we think.
So one last question here regards the process of dealing with the Brazilian tax authorities and audits, things of that nature. What's that like? That process, dealing with government audits.
Well, what it comes it depends of how you get the company, how the client come to you. Because if you have a low messed up client who wasn't aware of any rulings, or they didn't have a very organized accounting, or didn't deliver their obligations to the government timely or complete, or make it in good order, you're going to have some trouble to prove that you're doing the right thing, or that you're taxing right, since your compliance is not so good. And when you enter an audit with a company with this background, is going to be like a it's going to be difficult to deal with the audit, the public audit, the government audit, because they know what is going on. They know that you're not fully compliant with the law, and they're going to apply you fines, and and if you forgot to tax something, intentionally or not, you're going to be charged, and there are some fines over it. Every time you do this, and the government notices that you're not paying all the taxes you needed to pay, you're going to have a fine of 75% of the tax owed to the government. So as a fine, and it's devastating for the company. And when companies do this intentionally, and the government realize that you're doing this intentionally, the fine is like 100%. So if you only delayed and you forgot to pay the tax, it's only 20%. But to get it's not good to get that, because you cutting from your profit, and sometimes you cut more than your profit, and you start to have huge losses on that. So in the other hand, when you have a medium and a good compliance, it's easy to talk to the auditors. It's easy to talk to the IRS agents, so you can explain them. Today you can explain, and everything you cannot explain and they understand wrongly, you can litigate on an administrative and judicial process. It's going to take time, but you can litigate and it's good, because you normally, if you write, you can prove your point, and they not charge any fine from your company. So the main key is to have your company good compliance.
Excellent. So with that, with the audits, do you see them focusing on transfer pricing?
We haven't had any transfer pricing issues here lately, since the companies are very concerned about this, and Brazil has a lot of transfer pricing specialists, especially because we changed all our transfer pricing rules, because Brazil wants to enter the ODC, and so they are changing to apply the transfer pricing rulings like the rest of the world. So it's important to have this, because we have two barriers you have to see about the transfer pricing. You cannot buy an expensive product. Let's say like this, an expensive product from your headquarters, because it's there are the risk that you're paying already the dividends for your headquarters, and you don't have to, and you can't also buy it in a cheapest price because you have the risk to be underpaying custom taxes. So transfer pricing is like to check out the market and tell a story that you're using a reasonable price, and it's a price you use to make to any other client you had in special conditions, but the government has to consider that you're selling to your branch, to your local branch, so you have to take any advantage of it. So it has a space for you to manage the prices, but not too not so high and not so low. So you have to be quite as the market, and Brazil at the end of the day will be like controlling your margin of profit. So but sometimes you have to review this for companies because they may be applying the wrong method, and then you can lower their income taxes through the transfer pricing adjustments, or you can advise them that they have a contingency on income tax because they bought products in a very high in a very high price, and then they have to make some adjustments and pay those income taxes. Otherwise, in an audit, he's going to have this adjustment made by the government, and it's going to be followed by fines, and it's not going to be cheap or feasible for the company paying this in a medium term.
I appreciate the information you've shared, and one of the things I want to make sure the listeners are aware of, that they're aware of the services of the EA team, and in particular, your willingness to help them in determining how to go into Brazil, or if they're into Brazil, the opportunities that may be present working with you and your team to address a more tax efficient result in Brazil. So do you mind sharing a little bit about the company, what you guys
Yeah.
do? Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, well, our company, as I said, we're a consultancy company who works with audits and like a law firm in the corporate law and tax law. And now we have a department who deals with labor law. And one thing particular in labor, I think it's important for this podcast to be mentioned, that is calculation of your payroll here in Brazil, because an employee costs in average 65% of his salary in Brazil. So if you can, normally with all the union rulings you have, an employee is like costs us 100% of their salary here. So and then we work here with those assistants to calculate better this payroll cost in order to prepare the whole scenario for the company. But this comes with the whole package that we do, things from the planning of the company, uh, thinking about the product, what's going to be sold or provided, or service provided, and then we start to advise the company in a civil way, doing the civil law, doing contracts, helping them on the day-to-day operations like buy-sell operations, or the problems with a provider, logistics, all that has legal impacts. We're there to help the company as well. From the taxes, a little bit of accounting, that we are going to help the companies to calculate their taxes, understand better the fiscal strategy, what they're going, if they are taking credits or making a good use of the tax legislation here. And then we can prepare the structure from the companies in our corporate department, so you can have a good group of companies here. You're sure that you're going to open your branches with the correct requirements, that you need to be there where you're going to set the business, and work the company to perform in Brazil. Now, we say they were lawyers, but I think we're more business lawyer because we looked at the business, not only the law. We looked at the business. I want to make you well, the company, the objective of our company is to make the companies here in Brazil have a good way working here or arrive in Brazil in a good way, knowing what's going on with full transparency. So and we work to provide our clients with that transparency and that and assure them that they're going to be the best business they can do based on the business model they have here.
Perfect. Well, we do appreciate your time today, Rodrigo. We will have, if our listeners will visit our webpage at www.globaltaxfocus.com, they'll be able to see all of your contact information. We encourage them to contact you directly. And I know, and having worked with you in the past, you'll spend some time with them to help them understand what they need to do. And if there's something more that needs to be done, you'll take care of that as well. So with that said, again, thank you for your time today. It was very insightful, and I appreciate how you're trying to help people navigate the waters to do business in Brazil.
Thank you, James. I appreciate this opportunity. And if anybody wants to know a little bit more in Brazil, we are here to do this. I'm here to talk to them and enlighten them about the questions, and feel free to contact us.
Perfect. With that said, we'll say goodbye for this episode. Until the next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.